seen a lot of growth from when I started until today. And I wouldn't still be here if it wasn't for such an amazing team that I get to work with all the time. So that's what's kept me here. I love our team. We love working together. A lot of us have been here a long time, which is really unique in our space. But we have a lot of fun doing what we do and serving our shippers and our carriers the best way we can.
A flip phone, a fax machine, and a pager walk into a bar. The bartender says, "What is this, a museum?" Technology moves fast. What was cutting edge 20 years ago is now more nostalgia than necessity. Sure, a flip phone can still make calls just fine, and a fax machine technically works okay. But why settle for fine when you can have better? If your back office technology still relies on email inboxes and manual workflows, it's time for an upgrade courtesy of ePay Manager powered by OTR Solutions. With ePay Manager, you can modernize your processes, streamline invoice audits, and automate payments with proactive workflows that don't rely on those email inboxes. The result? Faster invoicing, stronger security, and 50% lower back office costs. Don't let your business get stuck in the past like that pager you stopped carrying in 1999. Visit epaymanager.com or text ePayFC to 80483 to bring your back office into the modern age.
We've partnered with Ascend TMS, the world's most popular and top-rated transportation management system. It's the ultimate tool for all your freight needs. You can use our referral code RA-FreightCaviar ! To receive 3 months of Ascend TMS for free. It only takes 20 seconds to sign up and no credit card is required. You can click the link below to learn more.
Today's episode is also sponsored by Rapido. Rapido connects logistics and supply chain organizations in North America with the best nearshore talent, scale efficiently, operate on par with US-based teams, and deliver superior customer service. Rapido works with businesses from all sides of the logistics industry, including 3PLs, carriers, and logistics software companies. Rapido builds out teams with roles across customer and carrier sales and support, back office administration, and technology services. The team at Rapido knows logistics and people. It's what sets them apart. Rapido is driven by an inside knowledge of how to recruit, hire, and train within the logistics industry and a passion to build better solutions for success. Learn more about the Rapido solution and begin building your team away from home at gorapido.com.
Trinity's been around since 1979. I mean, that's, before deregulation. So many events have happened in the industry and technology-wise speaking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious if you could tell us a little bit about Trinity Logistics and about Burris, which you're celebrating 100 years with. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Yes.
And just give us a background about the company.
Yeah, absolutely. So Trinity Logistics, like you said, has been around since 79. The Banning family actually founded Trinity Logistics. Ed Banning started the company with his wife out of their house, which is just, one of those stories that you hear about big companies and how they get started, right? It's kind of the classic story, which is pretty cool. Their son took over a few years later, and Jeff Banning actually ran the company for several years and really grew the company to about $600 million total gross revenue, which is pretty amazing. And did lots of creative things. It's kind of a new thing in 79, getting into the brokerage space. It wasn't really known. Definitely one of the first in the space. And so anyway, they had such a great family legacy, and several of us got to work with that family for a really long time until about 2019. We were part ESOP, actually. So we were partly owned by the actual employees of Trinity, which is pretty neat too, as well as the Banning family at that time, and decided to have Burris Logistics actually come in and buy the entire organization and become part of the Burris Logistics family. So that's pretty cool too. Burris Logistics has been around for 100 years this year. We're celebrating a century, which is just unbelievable. But they primarily were in the cold storage space. So they had lots of cold storage warehouses. They're in food redistribution. So if you've heard of Honor Foods, that's a sister company of ours as well. And they own other brands kind of underneath the Honor Foods brand as well. So like Zant and Sunny Morning. And so there's kind of a group of companies that Burris Logistics is kind of the parent company over top of these different kinds of brands, as well as Eagle Business Credit, which is a factoring business as well. So it's pretty cool to be part of a family. Burris Logistics is still owned 100% by the Burris family and a Burris family trust, which is pretty amazing to be privately held still. and be almost a $2 billion total organization. So, yeah, it's a special story where family businesses have really come together and been part of this larger family business, and still very much is operated as such. So pretty blessed in that way.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I would love to learn more about the cold storage industry from 100 years ago. Because
Yeah.
like that's what Burris was doing. I'm wondering how that looked like 100 years ago.
Yeah, there's a picture of the truck. It's pretty cool. They were hauling produce kind of up and down the Eastern Shore here. It's a really cool story of how they got started in that space. Yeah.
I could imagine just all that history involved there, and the changes they've seen, and the evolution. That's really neat. So Sarah, you've been at Trinity for a little bit over 20 years now, and you worked your way up to being the president of the company. Can you tell us about, like, when you arrived at Trinity and like just working your way up the ladder?
Sure, absolutely. So yeah, I started in 2002, right out of college, went to Western Illinois University, and I was actually in school that I found out about Trinity. So my marketing professor was a consultant for Trinity at the time and was working with Jeff Banning and really trying to figure out how to grow the business and take it to the next level. And so my professor was talking about Trinity one day after class, and he's like, "Hey, so I'm working with this really cool business in logistics, and if anybody's interested, to like come talk to me about it." And so I was like, "Yeah, sure. I don't have anything lined up quite yet. I didn't even graduate for like another 6 months or something. It's kind of funny to think about that now, but anyway." Long story short, Jeff was doing all the hiring, the actual CEO and president at the time. I think we had maybe 60 total team members or employees, like company-wide at that moment. And we had less than 20 agent offices at that moment. And when I came out and met the team, I was like, wow, these are really great people. Delaware looks a lot like Iowa. There's a lot of farmland and a lot of really amazing rural, just people who grew up in farms and just was very similar to how I grew up. And so anyway, I just really loved the company, loved the vision of what Jeff had for the business, and was like, yeah, I think I want to go do that. So anyway, ended up moving to Delaware, didn't know anyone. And I look back on that now and I'm like, wow, Jeff really had such a compelling vision of where he wanted to take the company. And I was excited to be a part of that at the time, but started off booking trucks and at the time we called it dispatch. Now it's, carrier sales or logistics specialist. But yeah, at the time, just started off booking trucks and got, really good at developing carrier relationships, which is such a key part of our business, and developing and really getting to know our carrier base. And so did that for several years and then moved into overseeing kind of a leadership role and started working with our technology teams a lot. So EDI was kind of a new thing back then, which is kind of funny to think about now. But started working with some of our larger clients in connecting the technology pieces, and then started an office actually back in the Midwest. And then we restructured the company and came back in kind of a key role as a director, kind of overseeing sales and operations, and then moved into a sales role and then a technology role, and then HR, and then COO. So kind of a crazy path. I say all the time, it's not necessarily like everyone thinks, you climb the ladder, but there's a lot of, it's a winding road where you get to take opportunities when they present themselves to learn more about different parts of our business. I joke all the time with our CFO, the only seat that I have not sat in is in anywhere in the finance and admin side of things, but got to work a lot with those teams when we were implementing new technologies, which taught me a lot about the business. So it's been a really fun and exciting ride through all the years and all the changes. And as you know, the freight cycle, been through a lot of different freight cycles. Definitely, we have grown tremendously over the years, which is really incredible. We now have 6 regional service centers nationwide, and we have 150 agent offices. So seen a lot of growth from when I started until today. And I wouldn't still be here if it wasn't for such an amazing team that I get to work with all the time. So that's what's kept me here. I love our team. We love working together. A lot of us have been here a long time, which is really unique in our space. But we have a lot of fun doing what we do and serving our shippers and our carriers the best way we can. So,
Hey there, amazing listeners. If you're enjoying what you're hearing on our podcast, we need your support. It will only take a moment, but it would mean the world to us. Please make sure to hit the like button on this video, Subscribe to our channel and don't forget to share with one of your friends that would enjoy our content. Your engagement helps us reach more people and bring more awesome episodes to you. Thanks a million, and thanks for being part of the podcast community.
I mean, that's incredible, like being over 20 years at a company. And especially in logistics, that's kind of unheard of. A lot of people in freight brokerage, they come and go. And I remember, like, we wrote an article a couple of years ago, and we were doing some research, trying to see which companies, which out of the largest brokerages, so Transport Topics 100 list, have the best like Google reviews and also Glassdoor reviews, kind of cross-referencing them. And like Trinity Logistics was like on both of the lists, like the best Google reviews and best Glassdoor reviews too. So it was quite surprising. And to be honest, like I have heard of like Trinity in the past, but I never like really paid attention to it because I do kind of feel like you are somewhat like you're known, but you're not like very like pushy with the marketing as like, I guess some other like companies of the same size are. And then like, it was just interesting to see like, you really do have like a core team of people that have been there for like a very long period of time. And they do believe in the vision. And that's remarkable to see, especially since like a lot of people complain about like how toxic freight brokerage is, but it doesn't have to be, So, that's just I like hearing that, and it's definitely I guess a suggestion to some people listening that freight brokerage doesn't have to be toxic, and so I appreciate that and the insights there. And like right now, we're going to be talking about the agency program that Trinity Logistics has, and agencies. There's a lot of agencies out there, and I guess for anyone that's an agent right now, or anyone that wants to become an agent, it might be difficult to like knowing which agency should I work with, should I become a member of. I'm curious, Sarah, if you could tell us about how did the agency program even come to be at Trinity, and how has it developed?
Yeah, so I think that's great that you did some research and kind of compared. That's so interesting. Yeah, that's something we care a lot about is our reputation, and a lot of people say we're like the best unknown brokerage because to your point, a lot of people just like we're there and we continue to grow and we continue to serve well, but we don't have a lot of flashy marketing, and that's intentional. So the agency program started back in 1990. So we have had agents for 35 years. In fact, our average tenure right now of our agent group that's been here over a year is actually 10 years. So we have a lot of longevity with our agents. And that program came to be at the time. We had an executive in the company who has since retired. And he really started this up. He dreamt of being able to really partner with these small independent agencies or brokerages that really didn't want to handle, the back end and just needed someone to kind of take on a lot of the insurance and take on all of the administrative functions and the technology pieces so they could just sell freight and sell solutions. So they wanted to be as close to their shipper partners that they could be and as close to their carrier partners as they could be and not worry about the rest. And so that's kind of how this whole thing really came about, which was really at the time, wasn't really known in our space. Of course, since then, there's a lot of companies that are, that have agency programs, but it's pretty cool to see, we've got agents that have been, with us over 20 years as well. And so it's fun to be able to work alongside, like I was kind of talking about, Burris Logistics is really a bunch of family brands and a family organization and a family company. And that's really what it's like for our agents as well. A lot of them, we have some that are independent, where they're, a one-man band and they're working out of their home or wherever, all the way up to we have some agencies that have over 100 employees under them. So it's really interesting to see that dynamic and how those independent businesses really want to grow. And we're there to support them in any way that we can, through the technology or through, the support or, through all these different areas of business that they don't necessarily need to or want to focus on. So allows them to really grow and serve well. So
definitely. Yeah. Like what makes like an agency program like strong? Because like, if you're an agent or you're someone that's looking to be part of an agency, if you want to become a freight agent, like what should a freight agent be like actually looking at and comparing before making a decision?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a lot of the things that we hear from either new agents or prospective agents is what really sets, I think, what sets us apart specifically is the work that we do to be a business partner. So you think about business development. We have a business development resource that can come alongside of them and help them, for instance, with like a quarterly business review to their shipper. We have a team that helps with that. We have a team that can really help them on the education front, learn more about LTL. If they're, primarily in truckload, we have LTL education, and we actually have an LTL support team that can also handle the operations of that, or drayage, or expedite, or we have a managed trans solution where we can go in and actually help a shipper with technology, and we have a team that can come alongside that agent and really truly help them gain and close new business as well as grow existing business. So I think there's a lot of things. We have a 24/7 support team, which has been super critical to our agent group, and as well as a full agent support group that works directly with those agents and knows them well and help them to connect the dots of solving problems. Claims, they still happen in freight. There's still freight that gets lost sometimes. There's all these things that happen in transportation, regardless, of how much we try to prevent that on the front side. But we have teams in place that really come alongside that agent to help solve those problems for them and take those off their plate as much as we possibly can so that they can continue to grow their business. And so I think that's such a big part. We pay our agents upon delivery, which is very different in the business. So there's a lot of things that we do that I think really stand out and go above and beyond, and truly, again, being that business partner with them, not just being a back-end support team. There's a lot of things we do to come alongside of them to help them grow. So I think that's really critical and important about our agency business.
Yeah.
ePay Manager, powered by OTR Solutions, is a back office automation and carrier payments platform that revolutionizes brokerage back offices with their proactive invoicing workflow, a centralized portal that gets you out of your email. Learn more about ePay by visiting epaymanager.com or text ePayFC to 80483 to see what they can do for your brokerage.
Sarah, can you talk a little bit about like the tech stack that comes in with Trinity as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have almost 40, I think we have actually had like 38 technology team members on our team. So we have our TMS that our shipments actually run through every day is homegrown and completely customized to the types of freight that we arrange. So, and that's everything from overdimensional heavy haul all the way to produce, to dry van, to cross-border. We handle over 550,000 shipments a year. So there's a lot of variety in the types of freight that we move across a network like that. But it is, I think, super imperative to have a good technology that is optimized as best as it possibly can for the types of freight that they move. And then we, of course, have bolt-ons as well. I think the last count that I saw was about 60 different technology vendors that we work with, everything from a security vendors that help us make sure that our data is protected, to housing our data, to like a Power BI. We're a big Microsoft Office shop. So Power BI, where we're bolting on a lot of data and dashboards to be able to help, again, with visibility and create a good customer business review to help our customers really understand the freight that they're moving as well. So there's a big spectrum of easy claim. There's different vendors, of course, that we work with that bolt on best in class where we can, but then build what our core business is. And that's kind of been our model on the technology side, as well as we have, a technology service that goes to our clients, and we connect as directly as we can with their ERPs or WMSs to be able to provide the best technology to them to help them run their transportation as well. So a lot of, in logistics, technology is a huge part of that too, in doing that well. So
I know agents look a lot, they look at the technology that's offered a lot of times. So it's very important. And
Yeah.
I'm curious, Sarah, if you could kind of walk us through right now, for example, if like I would want to become an agent for Trinity Logistics, like
Mhm.
how does that look like from step one all the way to like, finishing everything up and I'm good to go. Can you walk us through that?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So if anyone wanted to become a Trinity agent, you would talk to one of our agent recruiters. They kind of give you the lowdown on how we work, what we do, obviously find out more about you and the type of business that you're moving and the type of shippers that you're working with to ensure that we're a good fit, because that's really important. Culture is so important to us at Trinity. We have a tagline that says people-centric freight solutions. And we live that every day. Technology is a big piece of it, but we've got to make sure that every new agent coming in is also a culture fit and that we are a good culture fit for them. So there's a process there where they kind of talk through all those different pieces. We make sure that we don't have customer overlap. Obviously, that's a big piece as well. And then from there, you talk to Greg Massey, who is our senior vice president of our agent division. And he also has, a back and forth as far as understanding who you are as an agent, explaining a little bit more from a high level, strategic level of what we're about here at Trinity. And then, of course, there's background checks and things that are done. And then moving forward, we onboard our onboarding process. We have a full-time trainer that onboards our new agents, that walks them through the different technologies, helps them set up the shippers and the carriers that they use. Of course, carrier vetting is a big part of this too, and making sure that we have the best carriers that are part of our network. And so they work with that agent to really go through that and get everything really set up for day one. And then from there that we have ongoing training, we have portals, we have an intranet for any kind of ongoing or additional training that you want to take regarding our additional modes or regarding sales. That's a big one. Different sales education to, either present to your clients or to go out and get new or whatever that looks like. But you have access to our CRM and our all of our technology is part of it. So and then from there, it's really off to the races in that support. We have an agent business development rep that also helps with prospecting or can come alongside of them again to help them grow. But lots of resources available to really get them up and started and going to either transition business or to, create a launching platform to really grow business from. So, yeah. Does that answer your question?
It does. Okay. I am curious, what does Trinity Logistics think of like the new AI agents that are popping up? Is that something that you're interested in incorporating, or have you already incorporated that? I'm wondering because I know a lot of companies have, and then there are some companies that are kind of against it. So,
yeah,
or maybe waiting to see what the results are.
Yeah, there's a lot happening in AI just in general and trying to decipher, what's working and what's not working. I will say some of our technology platforms have really deployed some interesting AI to help make things more efficient or to identify patterns and that kind of thing, which has been super helpful for us. As far as we use AI on an outgoing kind of basis to go out and like validate paperwork, for instance, or that kind of thing. We're very hesitant and careful because, again, we're people centric and we want to keep it that way. That's intentional. So we're not quick adopters, I would say, of a lot of the new exciting AI. We're piloting some things, but again, we're really cautiously optimistic about what some of those products are, and definitely not as excited as others in some of the ways that they're using AI. So, and we just have to be really careful, right? I mean, there's a lot of fake data that can get out there and presented if you're not careful in using that correctly, because it's all coming down to how good your data is and what data they're pulling from and making sure that, it's legit. And our reputation means a lot to us. So we're super careful in how and where we're adopting that. So
I love the people-centric approach. I think that is a bit unique, or maybe it's something that you don't see as too often in the logistics industry, where a lot of times it's just like transactional, loads being shipped, and then right now like AI to essentially take a lot of the work that's being done, away and have AI do it. So I do respect that approach. But I'm curious also, like, do you think moving forward you're going to just see how it plays out?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're open to understanding what it's doing and how it's being used. And we've got some pilots going on with a few vendors right now and just trying to get a better understanding of that. We're very careful about the implementation side of that. But yes, I mean, definitely interested in how it can help. If we're abandoning a whole lot of calls in a particular area or region, it might make sense to put something there just so that we're providing a better experience. Trinity Experience, we say this all the time. We have Trinity Experience teams that really watch, some of those metrics to make sure that we're doing a good job servicing, our customers, whether that's shipper, carrier, or agent, whatever that looks like. But really understanding where, again, that can make sense, but not necessarily blanketing and saying, yeah, we're going to, move everything to AI. I'm just, yeah.
We've partnered with Ascend TMS, the world's most popular and top-rated transportation management system. You could use our referral code RA-FreightCaviar ! To receive 3 months of Ascend TMS for free. You can click the link below to learn more.
And before we get recording, you did say, Sarah, that 60% of Trinity is the agency program, right? Or 60% of revenue comes from agents. And that there's a lot of locations nationwide. Can you break that down a little bit and also discuss a little bit with us, how do you maintain a culture and have those values when there's so many people that are, agents and they're working independently in, their homes or wherever they are?
Yeah, I think it really comes back to making sure, again, through that interview process, that we're doing the best we can to, as we continue to grow our network, that other family businesses or other agencies that are coming are really mirrored with our values. At the end of the day, we have, core values that we don't just put on the wall, that we really live by.
What are those?
And a purpose statement. Oh, you froze.
I'm just curious. Sorry.
Yeah.
What are the core values?
Yeah, absolutely. So our core values, there's one that's we, not me. And everyone, of course, you kind of translate that to really being teamwork. We have one that's personal service excellence. So it's really about how are we, again, servicing and creating that best Trinity experience on every call or with every transaction or interaction that they have, and then make it happen. In freight, you're constantly working and looking at ways to really make it happen and creating, different solutions to solve a variety of problems on the daily. So that piece of it is just really about making it happen and having that sense of urgency to really solve those problems and dig in and do a good job. So, and then overarching all of that, we have a purpose statement that is incredibly meaningful to us, that we live by and we talk about all the time and we recognize across the network. But it is improving lives and supply chains by solving tough problems. And that's something that we talk about, we reiterate with our group and our team, and is something that as we continue to grow, team members or agencies, that we want to make sure we're really aligned on what those are and how we service our business and how we treat each other. I think that's a huge part of that as well. And, we've got, like you said, we've got team members that have been here a really, really long time. Some of them longer than me. And a lot of them, on our executive team have been here, almost 20 years or at 20 years. And so it's just really important for us as we continue to grow and move forward, that we really keep that culture intact and that we truly are improving lives, whether that's internally or externally, but really, making sure that we're putting that in the forefront of everything that we do. So not just that we say it, but that we actually do live it and do it. Yeah.
Love it. The core values is something that I'm working on right now at FreightCaviar. I'm implementing the book Traction. I'm not sure if you heard of Traction by Gino Wickman. It's an entrepreneur operating system, EOS system, that kind of guides you through like how to create traction in your business, or basically just like how to create a good company and the most, like the first thing is like to have your core values. That's like step number one. It's like what does everyone embody? And like the two brokerages that I worked for in the past never had any core values, and I think that definitely made it more difficult to first of all work as a team. Like you have that first values, be working as a team, and also like secondly, just like making sure that everyone's aligned on that. And I think making sure that like in the interview process, it's important to like, check that, like, does this person actually have this core value? And then moving forward as you work together. Yeah. So it just strengthens the company in so many ways.
We actually went through a process. So prior to being part of the Burris family of businesses, they had their set of values. Trinity, of course, had their set of values. The different businesses that they at the time were kind of pulling together, everyone was saying similar things, but said it with a variety of words. And so we went through a process probably about 3 years ago now where we really pulled together and said, okay, let's look at all the values kind of across our whole network. And let's really understand what we're all saying and come up with the same words so that we can start recognizing people living them even across the different businesses. And that has been huge for us and being able to recognize it. So in quarterly town hall meetings, publicly being able to say, hey, let's look at, how this particular person was really living, me, not me, or make it happen or whatever it is. But it gives you common language, like you're saying, to align by, to hire by, and to really recognize. So yeah, it's a huge part of who we are and what we're about for sure. But it is super important.
And you have 3 core values, right? If I'm not mistaken.
No, that's right. Okay. Yep.
So real quick, it was we, not me.
We, not me. Yep.
The second one was, I already forgot.
Yep. The second one is personal service excellence.
Personal service excellence. Okay.
Yep.
And the third one?
Make it happen.
Make it happen. Okay.
Yep. And they're all 3 words, right? So
you got to keep it simple.
3 by 3. You got to keep it simple and repeatable. Yeah.
And less is more.
100%. Yeah. And it came from like, you looked at some of these value lists across the businesses and some of them were really long statements. And while they represented a lot of those values, it's really hard to repeat it, and to recognize it in a really concise way. And so, yeah, it's an important thing for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I love that. I think I'm going to use one of those, maybe a couple of those at FreightCaviar.
Have you heard of the Table Group at all? Patrick Lencioni. So he has, he's written several leadership books as well. But
I think they might actually reference him in the book, Traction.
Yeah. So The Advantage is like one of the books, or 5 Dysfunctions of a Team is one of the books that he's written that is kind of known for. But he talks a lot about this. Kind of in some of his materials, but he has a couple podcasts as well. But if you haven't checked him out, I would definitely check him out. It's very inspirational and just creating culture and creating, making sure that you've got, those values defined and a purpose statement defined and kind of how to put those together. But yeah.
Is that what you listen to a lot, Sarah? Like podcast wise?
Definitely one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. I've read several of his books and definitely have followed him as he's continued to grow, in his consulting business, but super interesting and just inspirational when you think about our responsibility as leaders in an organization and the impact and influence that we can have well beyond ourselves and into the future is pretty incredible. And so, that's the fun, exciting part of what we get to do. But we're in a people's business at the end of the day. Yes, we move freight and yes, we, have technology and yes, we have these really cool things. But at the end of the day, we're really about relationships in the people business. So keeping that in the forefront, and values is a big part of that,
Relationships run the world.
Yep, absolutely. That's true. So true.
Sarah, can you tell us what's next for Trinity Logistics? What are your goals for 2025 and beyond? Do you have like quarterly goals as well? I don't know what you want to discuss with us or tell us or divulge with us in this podcast, but whatever you may, I'm curious.
Today's episode is also sponsored by Rapido. Rapido connects logistics and supply chain organizations in North America with the best nearshore talent, scale efficiently, operate on par with US-based teams, and deliver superior customer service. Learn more about the Rapido solution and begin building your team away from home at gorapido.com.
Yeah. So a few things. We're actually going through our strategic planning right now. So we're still tightening up what our plan is going to be. And we're kind of looking out over this next year. And then next year, we'll really dive into our next 5-year strategy plan. We typically plan in about 3 to 5 year increments on overall strategy. So this is the last year of our 3-year strategy. We're really excited about the results of where we've come over the last 3 years for sure. But where we're headed next, we definitely, I mean, if you're not growing, you're dying, right? In business. So we definitely want growth, but we want to be the best, not the biggest. And we say that a lot internally. We really want to focus on how do we truly be the best in everything that we do. And so that's a huge focus of ours. It's definitely not growth for growth's sake by any means. So a couple key things that we're really focused on. You brought it up, AI and technology, and really figuring out that dynamic and that balance of the right amount of technology to enable our team, but not take the place of our team. Is a huge piece of where we're headed and what we're doing, and being able to connect more electronically with our shippers and our carriers, I think is a huge kind of focus and direction of where we're headed and what we're doing. So there's definitely that piece. And then we have some modes that we're really focused on growing over the next few years. We just hired a new VP of drayage. And so we're really excited about the experience that he's bringing to our team to help really understand our current customer mix and where we can do a better job. That's a very fragmented business. And we see an opportunity to really serve our shippers well as it relates to that particular mode. LTL continues to be a major focus of ours as well, and being able to bring that people-centric piece to LTL because it is so transactional. But there's definitely a lot of opportunity there in the service side of things. So with that, we primarily play in the truckload space. So that's something we're always focused on as we think about growth over time. But our agency model continues to really grow. And so working with these independent business owners and helping them truly grow and create better businesses is a passion of ours. And we really see a huge growth trend of that over the next 5 years. As well as, our regional service centers and where's the next, where's our next location going to be? Like you said, we're located in 6 locations across the US. So we're already scouting out to say, where does it make sense to kind of plant maybe another regional service center? So those are some of the things kind of on our roadmap. Definitely fraud continues to be a big part of our space. And so that continues to make the list as far as what are we doing, who are we partnering with to really make sure that we are staying ahead of that trend as best as we possibly can to prevent it from happening to begin with. And so we've got some really creative ideas on ways that we're going to be fighting that even more so as we continue to move into the future. So those are some of the topics and some of the things. Culture, like I said, is continuing to be making sure we're hiring the right talent and getting the right talent on our team is just super critical. So from a people's perspective, making sure that we're continuing to create an empowered culture and a culture of trust and a culture of transparency. And so those are things that kind of fall under our strategic anchor of that culture piece. So yeah, that's just a little bit of snippets. I don't really have anything prepared.
There's a lot going on.
But those are, that kind of wraps up some of the technology, some of the people, and then some of the what we're doing to grow business partnerships, which is kind of our 3 strategic anchors. So, yeah.
A lot to be excited about.
For sure. Yeah. We never slow down. We don't ever let the grass grow under our feet. That's for sure. There's always something new to work on or something, exciting to help people with. So, yeah, there's always something going on. Yeah.
Sarah, if anyone here listening would like to learn more about the agency program, maybe they're currently an agent and they want to move or they want to try out the agency program.
Yeah.
Where should they go to learn more?
Yep. They can go right to our website, trinitylogistics.com. There's an agency link right on our homepage. And I would definitely advise anyone who's interested to go to that webpage, or you can reach directly out to me. That's okay too. I'm on LinkedIn, Sarah Ruffcorn, and you'll find me right on LinkedIn, or Greg Massey. is another one that you can reach out to. You can see all of our leadership on our website as well. Reach out to anybody. We're available, and we always have the open door policy. So reach out if you're interested. We'd love to hear from you.
I do want to add that anyone that's here looking to join become a freight agent or looking to switch freight agency companies, I would definitely advise to do as much due diligence as you can on the company you work with. And Trinity has been a partner of FreightCaviar for the last few months. And we wrote that article over 2 years ago where we cross-referenced all the top 100 brokerages in the country. And Trinity ranked at the top for, it was Glassdoor reviews, so former employees or current employees ranking, and then also Google reviews. So that's definitely, you have a stellar reputation, and that's definitely so important to look at. So I just have so much respect, Sarah, for the organization and for you all for creating that, because that's honestly the most important thing. And you have strong values. So so much respect, and I appreciate you coming on and sharing with us the story and about the program. I think there's a lot of exciting things, and I'll be looking forward to seeing Trinity continue to grow.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. And thank you for your partnership. It's been super helpful already in the things that you've been able to help us with. So thank you, Paul. Really appreciate it.
Of course. Appreciate that. Well, thank you, Sarah.
All right. Take care. Thanks again.
Thanks for tuning in to the Daily Caviar Podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, or if you didn't, leave a review. Let me know what you think. I appreciate any feedback. If you'd like to have more Caviar content, go to freightcaviar.com and subscribe to my email newsletter.